welcome to another amazing day at fmtraining.tv. My name is Margaret. I am here with Mr. Calvin and Richard Carlton to discuss the wonderful and fantastic FileMaker platform with you. Real quick, a reminder, we stream on 3 platforms. We stream on YouTube, we stream on Twitch, and we stream on Discord. We watch all of those chat functions, so please talk to us, please ask questions, please interact. We're here to foster an amazing FileMaker community. So help us out, talk to us. We do like to hear from you guys.
I got to write that down. We got to foster an amazing FileMaker community. I like that. Does anyone actually believe that? I mean, I will hope it's true.
I mean,
is Brian Ginn here? Brian Ginn and Landen Long. They're part of today's broadcast, but probably not directly. But yeah, go ahead, Margaret. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Yes. I see Russell Watson is here in YouTube chat. Hello. You are on our live stream list. Speaking of the live stream list, let me pull up the training schedule for the future week. So today we are of the Paws on Air recap with Calvin. Thursday is when to rebuild your FileMaker database. At what point do you determine that science has gone too far? Basically. Or rather, when you're going to have a problem and you need to actually sit down and change your trajectory. I can speak English. That day we have Calvin's there and also possibly Nick, so it should be a very fun conversation. Friday is an open Q&A. Please bring your questions. So any question about the FileMaker platform you may have, please arrive with those. Monday will be fun. It'll be the actual cost of FileMaker Solutions. What does it mean to actually pay to build a FileMaker Solution? So that'll be another fun discussion. And then Tuesday is the basics of PCI compliance. So basically, we're going to begin discussing credit cards and FileMaker. So that'll be a very fun conversation with our senior engineer, Bill Kaplis. And Wednesday is our first day with the aforementioned Mr. Watson. So Mr. Watson will be here to discuss FM Workmate, which will be really quite entertaining and very interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Real quick, if you decide that, I'm not interested in these subjects, or like, I don't like, an hour kind of meandering conversation, or, I really need to learn about this specific thing, or you just want to support our channel, we have our bundle. One comes with FileMaker, the application, one does not, rather, the license. So both are about 100 plus hours of video content. They're from our very dynamic and entertaining presenter, Richard Carlton himself, who, if you ever watch, it's really hard to get bored watching. It's about 10 to 20 minute animated segments about pretty much every topic known to man where it comes to FileMaker. So FileMaker Server, WebDirect Pro, you name it, we talk about it. It's very fun. Please consider getting it to support the channel or, frankly, to improve your FileMaker knowledge. So, now that I have
we do get people who tell us our free live streams are too wandering, and I understand that. In which case, we highly recommend you direct you to our paid training course, which is a very specific, very directed, very on topic, right? So very good. So, what are we doing today, Margaret? What are we talking about today?
We are talking about Paws on Air, or specifically, Richard and Calvin went to Paws on Air, and they experienced the wonderfulness of the developer-run FileMaker conference. So we're going to hear what they experienced or learned there, is the current subject of today.
Yeah, Margaret, do you want to run video 1 for us?
Okay.
Make it full screen?
Cool, I can do that immediately.
So production engineer, broadcast engineer, run clip 1.
Okay, running clip 1.
Hey, Richard Carlton here. I wanted to kind of give you folks a review of the Paws on Air location. So they're talking about maybe doing Paws on Air here next year. This is it's kind of a little bit of challenge to get to, but it's a stunningly beautiful location in the mountains of northern Georgia near a town called Clayton. And it's kind of a really neat environment. They could probably have pretty easily here 500 people, I think. But it's got a great facility, great mountains. I think next year probably you'd come here and you'd have more blue skies, but I mean, it's really nice. It's really beautiful. Creeks, lakes to swim and canoe on, pools to swim in, baseball diamonds, tennis courts, all sorts of stuff. It was raining here this year, so mostly we were inside chatting with each other and talking with each other. It was pretty amazing. So basically the idea is if they do this next year, that would be really fantastic. And this location is great. And then of course, when your accommodations, when you're here, you can have like the cabin kind of issue. Cabin experience where you're in with a bunch of people and a bunch of bunks, right? Kind of like reminds me of like a little bit in the Army and basic training and stuff like that. But you can also get like a hotel room, which is great. I was in more of a hotel room, so because I had the wife with me and she didn't really want to bunk with a bunch of dudes, right? So, but there's about, what do you say about, it's pretty representative of the FileMaker community. About a quarter to a third are women, which is great, and they have a big impact on the event. In fact, this entire event, to my knowledge, was run by Martha Zink and Chrissy, and they volunteered and put this event together, and it's really quite, frankly, special. It's a chance to kind of unwind a little bit. You can engage as much as you want. You can go to technical sessions and get as much tech. And if you want to build relationships, you can do that. You just want to get back. There's some people here who look kind of, frankly, stressed out. So one of the things that's neat about this is it's kind of somewhat therapeutic environment, because there's some internet connectivity here, but it's pretty limited. And really it's a chance for you to kind of take a break. And some of the people here, you could tell, were stressed. They almost like needed some therapy, some time away, some time to unwind. And so you can, they kept using this term, choose your own adventure kind of idea, which is an old reference to books that were around when we were kids in the late 70s and early 80s. They tell you a story, and then at the bottom of the page, you get to go to page, it's not a book you read linearly. You can jump ahead to page 61 or go back to page 22 because you decide to do something different. So you can engage with the people here as much as you want. You can do tech stuff as much as you want. I guess a little bit like DevCon, except that there's no real corporate influence. There's a couple people from Claris here. I think they're just here to, take notes and keep an eye on the proceedings so that they have a kind of an idea of what's happening in the world. But it's not a Claris event. It's not their event. It's about almost like an open source effort. I mean, it is funded and it's run by money, but it's not for profit, is my general impression. If they're trying to do it for profit, they're probably not making much money. I guess it's kind of a break-even operation. So Paws on there. So pretty slick. So if you're looking for a chance to unwind, disengage, re-engage, go camping, swimming, do stuff like that. And then also in between go to DevCon, kind of like a DevCon sessions idea, like people sit there. And sometimes the sessions have been like community chats, but a lot of them this time were, well, I don't know, the ones I went to were like mostly kind of like more like presentation, and there was some audience involvement. But because we do the live streams, audience involvement is kind of a two-edged sword, right? It could be really great, or you could have some guy ask you about, what do you think about the chances of the Vikings football team for this season making the playoffs, right? So audience participation is good. Pretty neat event overall. Hopefully we'll get some air shots of this thing. You can see this from the air, but it's beautiful. Green trees. Of course, humid. This part of the country's humidity is pretty high. So you need to be prepared with heavy clothes all the way down to pretty lightweight clothes if it's hot and humid. If you want to go swim, whatever, that kind of thing. You need just to be thinking about all environmental conditions, probably except snow. You don't have to worry about snow, but everything else you should plan for.
All right. So Calvin, are you there? Calvin was there with me along with Landen Long, one of our live stream people here who we love. And Brian Ginn is there. Hopefully, I don't know if he's here today or not, but Calvin, you were there, right?
I was there. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
What do you think? Was it relaxing for you? I mean, it depends on what you need, I guess, right?
Yeah,
what's your thought on that?
Definitely. I love camp facilities like that where you kind of lay back and you're real close to the woods. There were hiking trails. We didn't get much video of that, and I took the videos of some of the hiking trails, but they didn't turn out too well. But there was some cool stuff there. But then you also got to connect with people. You got to learn about FileMaker, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what was neat about this is that, whoever is there can present on whatever topic they want to present on. I think that's really fantastic. And there's no corporate. So to understand that the idea of Paws on Air and if any of the Paws on Air organizers are here, hopefully I'm representing this as closely as possible. But it was kind of put together as kind of a counterculture, almost like it's like the old Matrix movies where the Matrix is trying to balance itself, right? So when you have this corporate event going on that's very corporate-y, very architected, very scripted, and then you get the allergic reaction to that. When people have an allergic reaction to that, they don't want the corporate influence. They want the raw person. When I'm here doing live streams, I very much try to be the raw person. We don't run around with a bunch of scripts and stuff. And so that's the way I try to play it. So I understand what they were doing. I totally get it. I love it. And so if you wanted to present, anyone could present on any topic pretty much. And I don't think they ran around and said, no, we don't want you to, Calvin, to present on whatever, right? And so then people kind of just show up to the sessions that they want to watch. And frequently the sessions are like conversations. Some are presentation, but some of them are kind of conversations. And I thought that was really, really, really valuable. And so it's like the live stream. A lot of you here, some of you watching are like lurkers. You lurk. We don't even know you're there. It's probably, a Brad Freitag at Claris lurking, watching us behind our backs. That's a joke, but you get the idea. You'd never know that people are here unless they chat up, right? If Brian is here or Landen Long is here, we never know about it unless they actually surface and show up. If they show up, Margaret, make sure you let me know if you see them, right?
Yeah.
So, actually, we had two of our live stream people here show up. I'm gonna let's see if I can show my screen here briefly. Share screen. I'm going to share my screen. See if I can do that. Oh, there's Calvin. I don't need that much Calvin. There's too much Calvin. So there's Calvin. So this is Leland and his wife. They were there. Leland is one of the folks that's been here. He's been a contributor. We're going to hopefully do more work with Leland. You see all these people here having lunch and dinner and talking and socializing and connecting and all the big players in the FileMaker community. For the most part, we're here. If I get rid of this screen, let's take a look at Brian. This is Brian. For those of you, a very stealthy individual. This is Brian, right? He's a great guy. And that's us having a moment together, which was kind of fun. But Brian Gins is a kind of a retired Army guy. And of course, that makes, I get along with him just fine. And but he's doing all sorts of work in the FileMaker world, trying to stay kind of busy with that, which is great. But I didn't think for a second that some of the live streamers would really come to this, and suddenly they show up and they go, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, holy cow, right? It's like, so, and then of course, everyone had to be COVID tested before we were there. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's me looking at my 2 COVID tests and taking a photo so they knew it was me. But the facility is really quite beautiful, right? If I move this out of the way for now, but it's really quite beautiful. And there's bike paths and walking paths, and this is how you get up to so this is their welcome center right here. That's where everyone comes in here. Actually, my room was in the hotel. I was upstairs, and that one right there, that was me. And it was kind of neat. And then a lot of people are up on top of the hill in these other rooms and like hotel rooms, right? But it's kind of mountainy and beautiful, frankly. And so, and of course, this is the big swimming area. You can canoe, swim, whatever you want to do, except when it's raining. It wasn't as exciting as it might be otherwise. But it was pretty there when you got down to that part of it, right? So it was pretty neat. I think the venue is special. I think it allows you to get away. You can go to the events you want to go to. There's, lunch and dinner and breakfast, and that gives you a chance to socialize. And there's these sessions that you can go to. There's a lot going on, right? And I'm a person that's already kind of saturated with craziness already in my life, so I don't need a lot of extra socializing. But some people there really are kind of one-man band kind of consultants, and they want to reach out and talk to other people. I think it's very therapeutic. I saw some people there who clearly were stressed and needed to unwind, and it was an opportunity for them to do that, I think. So Calvin, anything else on the facility before we go to the next video clip? We're going to talk about some of the sessions, and we want to invite your input and feedback on the topics we're going to have here. So Calvin, anything on the facility before we move?
If I could share my screen, I do have the map of the place, which is pretty cool. So you can see that video was taken, I guess, up here. So you can see the main lodge, but then most of our activity was down here by the lake, and that's where the food and such was. And then we spent a lot of time over at this kind of amphitheater. It was raining, so we weren't actually on the hillside. We were under the enclosure, and but lots of you can see how it's right next to the trees there. Lots of good walking and hiking and time to disconnect.
Cool. All right, Margaret, can you run our next video, please, full screen for us?
Yes, I can. Though, real quick, did you see the Oregon Dean photo? Did you meet him as well at POE?
Oregon Dean? I did not see Oregon Dean. No one identified themselves as Oregon Dean to me at the event. So if he was there, he was stealthily hiding from me.
Okay. Got it. Because there's a picture of you and someone in Discord.
Yeah, I don't see that. So was I with Oregon Dean? And if he's with me in Oregon Dean, I completely misconnected the fact that Oregon Dean was there.
Here's the picture.
Oh, that's not Oregon Dean. Is that Oregon Dean?
No, he said it. He didn't say it was. He just linked it. Okay, I misunderstood Oregon Dean. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's this suitcase thing, which I will talk about this briefly. But let's go ahead and we'll save that save that photo, Mark. That's good. That's Ron. That's Ron. I believe that's Ron. It's he's yeah. That's a good one. I don't know where that one came from. That's really cool. All right. Well,
Okay, now
all right, moving
on
along
to the next video. Boop.
Yes.
There was an awesome session on Lambda and using that as a function, as a service, and being able to connect FileMaker to something like Twilio and making that easier for the FileMaker developer, and then being able to use those functions for any app, not just one client or one server.
What is Lambda briefly? What is that? Kind of, how would you summarize Lambda?
It's the service that Amazon provides where you can put a piece of code in AWS and it only charges you for the time that whenever you execute that code. And so if it takes a microsecond, you're paying for that microsecond.
So you don't really tell the service, Amazon, where to run the code. You just give it a block of code.
You can tell it what data center you want to run it in, or you can run it in a bunch of data centers, but you want it where it's closest to wherever your app is running. So if your AWS app is running in California, you'd want your Lambda in California as well.
Yeah, I think the key piece with this is that the execution of the code is abstracted. Right.
It's abstracted. And
what does that mean?
That means it's generic. It's not specific. Generally, you'd write it so it's not specific to one app. You could have all your clients using those same functions that were in Lambda to connect to Twilio or another service.
Yeah, I think a close analogy would be is if you wrote a script in FileMaker and then you took that script and you just said, hey, Amazon, run the script.
Yeah, so right now I have a client who has a PHP page in endpoint on their server that connects to Twilio. Now it's sitting there on their server and running, but we could, if we move that to Lambda and made it generic, then we could use that same piece of code for all of our clients using Twilio and set it up in one place instead of having to set it up on each of their servers.
Yeah, so that's a interesting text. So I don't think we explained Lambda very well, kind of fundamentally what it is. All it is the ability for you to have a block of code, like a text file of code, and you tell Amazon to run the code. See, everything that we do in the world that we live in, we've been trained for years and years and years that we have a FileMaker database, and that lives on a FileMaker server, and you know where that server is at, and the server has an IP, and you can log on that server with a unique password and all this sort of stuff. No, that's not what Lambda is. Lambda is like the opposite of that. Forget the database part of it. Just think about a programming, a JavaScript, FileMaker scripts, just code. You take a block of code, lines of code, and you just give it to Amazon. Say, Amazon, run it. You don't say, what server, what IP, what password, where to go. No. You give it the code, and it just does it. It just does it, which is, it's so you're abstracting any concern about the server it runs in. I mean, Calvin pointed out it can run, you can tell it to run a certain region, which is fine. But you're telling Amazon, the company, run this code for me, and I don't give a what server it was on, a Linux, Windows, with processors, and you don't do that. You just say, run the code, give me the results, baby. That's how that works. And so we would like to, so this is one of those moments where I have to invite for buzzing, and we'll kick it to Calvin here in a second. But if you would like to see more live stream topics on something like Lambda, right, then we need some people to buzz in, Margaret. They have to buzz in. For those of you who haven't seen my buzzer, it's like the Nick Hunter buzzer. He took it to Columbia with him, and his girlfriend's lost it, I guess. I don't know. So we'll have to get another buzzer. You have to buzz in. So you have to actually say the word B-U-Z-Z, right?
Buzz. But no, there's like buzz, and then also we got like 2 immediate questions about it. So
sure. Go for questions.
Calvin, Lambda, in what language are you coding?
Yeah, I don't think that it's necessarily specific to a given language. It just needs to be something that that you would submit. I actually don't have any experience with it. I just learned about it there, and it was something that I need to or would like to explore further.
Yeah, no, it's basically it's going to be in a general rule without me talking on my. This is why we need to do more of this, right? We're not saying that we're Lambda experts. If we were doing Lambda experts, we would be doing a presentation on Lambda right now. This is things that we found out about and investigated, and I'd heard about this, but we've never played with it because there's a lot of things in the world of technology. There's always something new you don't know, right? So I would guess Python, probably JavaScript, probably C# and this other stuff, right? So, I mean, right? But clearly not FileMaker script. I don't think it would do that, right? Because that's really proprietary, right? But you get the idea that people are always taking JavaScript and having it do stuff. Well, what if you took the JavaScript out of your web viewer and put it not up on your web server, but just send it as Lambda to Amazon to run and to shoot back the results? That's the idea. So this is an overview of Paws on Air. This is one of the topics that was discovered, right? So if you like this, we want more Lambda, then we'll take that. Yes, those are everyone asks a question. That's a buzz. It's a buzz thing. So we're not trying to torture you. It's just that we don't know, right? So it was Landen Long. Is he the one who did the Lambda, or was it?
No, it was Sully.
It was Sully. Now, Sully, we're also talking to him about coming on too, right? So we are talking to other people about coming on and sharing their expertise, because every one of us has our wheelhouse of knowledge, and I am not perfect, and Calvin isn't perfect. And while Calvin and I and Jacob Taylor and probably Nick, we could cover most stuff, Lambda is not one we normally play with, but it's valuable. So we're going to get Sully on here. I talked to him yesterday. And so if you guys know who Sully is I can't remember the company he's with, but he basically is a guy who runs around with squirt guns, and he wears flip-flops and carries squirt guns wherever he goes. So definitely not me. We will add that one. So anything else with Lambda? Because I think it's really would be interesting. So how hard is it to learn Lambda? Okay, if you already know how to program, then this is going to be easy for you. If you've never programmed a programming language in your life, like if I say Ruben or Foxy Jack or one of you, give me the languages you can program in, right? So can you program in C, C#, C++? Can you do Python, Perl, Fortran for an old one, right? Basic, right? All sorts of crazy stuff. So you have to figure that out. If you already know some programming languages, then Lambda is just going to be the next greatest thing. So yeah, we will have a session on that. We'll get with Sully on that, see if he can do a introductory session for us on that. And if he wants to promote a product, he come back on day 2. So they have to do day 1 educational, day 2 if they want to promote a product, right? So good. All right. So Calvin, anything else on Lambda? We want to go to our next video cut.
That's it.
All right, Margaret, next video, please.
Yes.
One of the problems using the FileMaker Data API and in conjunction with a JavaScript library is that FileMaker will give you that data in one JSON format, while your library will need it in a different JSON format. So one developer wrote this huge FileMaker script to make that conversion, but FileMaker scripting runs pretty slow to make that conversion.
Oh, this is Leland's.
Yeah.
This is Landen Long. Oh, yeah.
And maybe he can talk to us about it again. But so he was able to write a piece of JavaScript that did that reformatting for him and made it run much, much faster. So that's one thing I'm really excited to explore myself.
Yeah, we're talking about getting him on the show. So the idea was that some of the FileMaker, you always want to use the best tool for the job, and sometimes FileMaker is the right tool. But in this case, FileMaker was taking a long time to process something. And so he basically rewrote the code to run on a different platform effectively, right? And so, yeah, that's pretty neat. And so then by offloading that to JavaScript, just because of the way the code executes, kind of like the Lambda conversation, I guess, if you've seen the Lambda video, it could be, there's benefits of using other platforms in parallel with FileMaker to create the best overall solution. And I think he wants to talk about that. So we'll be having him on the show. That'll be exciting.
All right. Do we hear any buzzing for Landen Long and JavaScript conversation, right? Is there any buzzing? Do we have buzzes? Margaret, buzzing? Yes, buzzing, no? Buzzing.
People are typing, so give them a second.
Okay.
That there is indeed buzzes.
There are indeed buzzes. All right, good. So have we seen Brian or Leland at all? Too bad they're not here. So I wish they were here on YouTube, or I don't know where Gins, is Gins, I think. I don't know if there's an S on the end or not, but it's Gins or Gins. So yeah, really awesome guy.
I've seen him pop in briefly, but I think he also does other things around this time. So
yeah, it's called life, right? Life interferes with our TV show. So yeah, that's what happens. All right, and I am sympathetic that I really am. So moving along, next video, please.
Talking to Landen Long about the FileMaker developer community, and of course, Claris's interaction with that a little bit, kind of indirectly. He was kind of aggravated by it, and I was like, okay, well, he goes, what's the problem? He goes, well, we have a lot of people who are not paying Claris $500 a year to be in their partner program, who want to do add-ons and distribute the add-ons, and there's no central repository for that. So, of course, a lot of people talked about creating a marketplace for FileMaker for many years, and Claris kind of finally did that, created a marketplace. But to post stuff on the marketplace, for the most part, you have to be a partner, right? So you have all these people who want to contribute, want to do this, but they can't be included in the ecosystem. So it's like this forced exclusionment. Although Claris's perspective, they want to give benefit to people to come into this area, but it seems to me you would make like the the premium featured content from the people, the partners. Then if you want to have the rest of the public, you include that, but whatever, they didn't do that. So of course, whenever Claris says no, then the private market says, okay, well, whenever you make a decision, say do something, the other person gets a vote, and people lose sight of this, right? And if you want to anticipate what that vote's going to be or head that off, you might want to. So just saying no causes other people to say yes. And so it spawned a third-party add-on website, which if I had to bet, at the end of the day, will trounce anything that Claris does, because it's privately running and through people, probably volunteers, etc. I'm not entirely sure how it entirely works, but my guess is that it's not making nearly enough money to probably pay for what they put into it, but at least so it's called Pentagon FM, FM Pentagon or Pentagon FM. Just do a search for that. And so these are people who've created add-ons. Some of the people who've been on our live stream, they're not partners, and so we're going to take our content and cross-post it back to there, certainly. So once again, it's kind of like one of those sort of things where, so if something, if Apple or Claris or someone does something that doesn't get the necessary love that's required, someone's going to go around them, right? So that was kind of funny, because that was also a part of this live code. The live code webinars were going on while we were at Paws on Air. So, and that's another one, the whole Android device thing, right? Kind of funny. So anyway, whenever someone says no and there's a market demand, you can understand that someone's going to go around you and do it anyway. And so all you've done is managed to remove yourself from the conversation. So I don't know, whatever. I try not to say no as often as I can, right, Calvin? I try to say yes.
That's right.
Yeah, we try to say
yes.
So if you're looking for add-ons, quality add-ons, or maybe giant piles of doo-doo add-ons, it doesn't really matter. The point is they're add-ons from people who are not paying Claris to be in the partner program. Go to Pentagon FM.
All right. So this was one of those things where people come to me. It's why you go to conferences and you realize that the more you talk to people, the more you realize what you don't know, and all the things you don't know, and maybe you should learn about them, or at least defer to them. And so I was unaware of Pentagon FM, but it's pentagon.fm. There's no .com or anything in there. It's PENTAGON.FM. And basically it's this kind of repository for people, once again, who are not part of Claris. They're not spending $500 a year, $499 a year to be in Claris's partner program. Now, I think that partner program has value. It's useful. But if you don't want to do that, then you have no way of kind of advertising your add-ons in a centralized location. So Pentagon FM was put together to do that. I have no idea who's behind it. I just know that Landen Long had put like 4 different things on there. And of course, my thought was that, well, if we have add-ons, things like that, like the Wolfpack, et cetera, that should go on there as well. And it's just funny, right? Because every time you say no to something, someone else says yes, and they go around you. And so it's whenever you see this happen, you always kind of cringe. Not so much that someone said yes, but someone was forced to say yes when obviously it should have been handled at the mothership in a more graceful way, shall we say. Calvin, Have you looked at? I'm looking at Pentagon FM right now. Have you looked at this at all?
I have not looked at it yet, but Leland showed me his stuff was on there, so I was planning on taking a look at it.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff on here, and it says uploaded by developers, and so it's not really well advertised or well SEO'd. I'm not sure who's putting this together. Obviously, hopefully there's a volunteer effort. It says FAQ here. I'm just going to click on this real quick. What is Pentagon FM? Okay, did anyone write about this? Or catalog of resources for the close family? I'll share with the poster here. So, is there no intention to do custom functions? Is there a competing? Is this site competing with Close Marketplace? Okay, here we go. Their official statement is no, this is not competing with the Close Marketplace. The Close Marketplace is great, but it's limited offerings. It should says only from Claire's partners. At Pentagon FM, all developers are welcome, i.e. they're equal, to submit their work to the catalog. We encourage CPs, I guess Claire's partners, to link their Claire's marketplace products. So it's interesting, right? So it's once again one of those things where if I was at Claire's, I'd be going dough, right? Because this is an unnecessary moment where they should be in the middle of controlling the dialogue, and they have lost control of the conversation. So anyway, so if you are interested in add-ons and you're not seeing the add-on that you want at the Claire's Marketplace, check out Pentagon FM. There's your hot tip. So we might, if we can find the Pentagon FM people, we might bring them on the show. Do we have any buzzing on that, whoever that is? Do we have any buzzes? Calvin, are you interested in that at all?
Oh, of course.
So you're buzzing officially, what you're telling me.
Buzz.
Buzz, 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 buzz. I need the buzzy thing that Nick stole. I can't believe it. Margaret, any comments from the troops?
I don't see any yet, beyond the fact Matrix Digital Rain, lol, that's the best add-on ever from Ruben. So I have no idea what that add-on does.
Yeah, so the Matrix Digital Rain is like the that startup screen in Matrix, but it is in a web viewer that you can just put in your FileMaker app. And I believe Leland
you know what I want? I want an add-on that does Mrs. Pac-Man, right? I'm sure that's out there because people have built it into web browsers, and I would love to do an add-on for Mrs. Because it would be one of those that you'd have to put with no profit or no charge on it, because it's still a owned product by Namco. Is it Namco? NAMCO. It's a Japanese company, I think. But they own the license for Pac-Man, so that would be. But yeah, because I know that it was on Google. If you went to Google, they had a web and really nice reproduction. I remember one day getting lost and spending an hour, and they're trying to get to level 6 or something. Because I want to see the intermissions, right? All the intermissions, right? And the Pac-Man meet each other and they kiss, and that whole thing, right? So if you remember the intermissions, right? Because it's Miss Pac-Man. If you get far enough along, you get Baby Pac-Man. I never got that. I was never that good to see that. So I'm one of those like holes in my life. My bucket list is to get far enough in Mrs. Pac-Man to see all the intermissions, right? So, all right, Calvin. Margaret, do we have anything else, or is there another video or two left? What do we have?
We have one video left, I think.
Oh my God.
Okay, hold on.
I went to a session that was about abstraction and figuring out as a developer where abstraction is good and where you could possibly take it to the extreme. On one hand, we don't want a script that does every little thing separately, and then on the other hand, we can't use one script generically to power every button on your app. So there's got to be a middle road, realizing where abstraction works, where you can write a general script that can be used in multiple places, and where it's better to have something specific to a need in your app, and figuring out that middle road.
Yeah, this is kind of that conversation about modularity, I guess, where you have scripts and they can be easily recycled, I guess, to a degree. It's kind of the idea of modularity, where you reuse your stuff, and I guess that makes sense. The trick is whenever, I guess, once again, you said this, is that you're going to abstract or make modular code. There's a penalty you pay for setting that up front, right, Calvin?
Right, but the reason why you want something abstracted or something modular, and from my impression, those seem to be synonymous. Somebody might argue, but when one of the reasons you would want something modular, so you could use it a lot of places, but then you don't want to use it every place.
Right. I mean, there's a thing that we run into kind of overboard. So, you'll have a developer who'll find a new technique. It's something, once again, I caution people in the book and the videos, live streams. You find a new technique, you're in love with it, and then you want to use it everywhere because it's like the new shiny toy. And so I think, like anything else, you have to find a happy medium.
So you got to figure out where are you going to get a payoff? Because you don't want to write the script that does the exact same thing everywhere, but you don't want to make it so abstracted that people can't understand and can't come behind and see what's going on. And maybe you can solve that just with commenting. Obviously, whatever you do, please comment.
All right, Calvin, thoughts about abstraction?
That conversation reminded me of an app that I work on now and again. And it was not one that was originally built by RCC. And when I first looked at it, I noticed that there's this one script that was being used everywhere. And I've opened the script up, and it's something like, it's over 200 lines. And I was trying to figure out what it does, and I realized that they did everything with one script, or tried to do everything with one script, and just defined what was going on in XML as in the script parameter. But if the script parameter in XML is this, then go to this layout. If it is this, then open a new window and go to this layout. If it's this, create a new record. And then if it's this, create a line item in this record. It was just so bizarre. And I didn't reverse engineer every button that referenced it, so it's still sitting there. But as any time that I'm trying to build something in that app, I touch where that button is, I replace it with something that's a little easier to understand, that's not 200 lines of code, and solves one problem.
No, that's pretty good. So that was the abstraction conversation. And then, so let me pivot forward here a little bit, and then we'll be kind of coming into land the conversation here. So there was another session that we haven't talked about at all. I'm going to do this one live. And this was on ransomware. And this was put together originally was Heidi Porter and Chris Moyer. And for whatever reason, I guess there was some parallel interests by Wim DeCourt. Wim DeCourt is a principal manager or senior person at Soliant. And I've never really dealt too much with Wim. He's kind of an interesting character. As much as I guess I'm an interesting character, he's a different kind of interesting character. And I had a pretty good interaction with him at the event. And basically, we're going to have a 2-day session that's coming up. It's on the schedule. You folks aren't seeing it yet, but it's the week before Thanksgiving. It's a 2-day session with Heidi Porter and Chris Moyer about ransomware, and you need to be thinking about protecting your app and having your shields, raising the shields to protect yourself from that, because what they're doing is bad guys are getting into people's computers, and they're not too swift in understanding about FileMaker, because really it's kind of this peripheral technology. It's almost, someone almost suggested that if you have a FileMaker server, you should put SQL on it just to decoy them away, so they think that's the important thing, so they attack that. And kind of like if you're flying a fighter jet and they're shooting missiles at you, you shoot flares off and stuff to decoy the bad guys away from you, right? And so Wim was actually playing with some technology. There are actually kits out there. If I wasn't such an ethical guy, it almost sounds like a good business model. But there's kits out there where you just start your own ransomware company, and you wouldn't want to do it in anywhere where there's a lot of really good centralized law enforcement, like the United States or Europe or Australia or someplace. You'd want to be in the middle of someplace where all local cops and people are paid off and you own them. I'm being completely serious here. I'm not joking. But you have this ransomware kit where you can start your own ransomware company, and you get a team of developers like Calvin and Nick and all these people, and they spend their entire day trying to attack your computer and get into it. And once they get into it, you don't know they're in there. They start secretly kind of squirreling around and putting little kind of virusy type things. They call them agents in there. And then when they decide they're going to hose you, they run a routine, and it encrypts all the data, and it encrypts your backups and your databases and everything else, and so you're completely screwed. And then you have to pay them, and it's going to be a big chunk of money. And so the Moyers, Heidi Porter, Chris Moyer, and Wim from Soliant spent basically almost 2 hours, kind of prototyping a session that they're going to be reconstituting this. They're going to do it on a couple other places to try it out. But they were like trying to get it down to a 1 hour thing, and you can't have a detailed, comprehensive conversation about ransomware in an hour. And they had their idea was just to kind of scare people to think about it. And I said, well, why don't we scare them into thinking about it and give them some pointers and direction? The idea is for everyone here, and I'm being very specific to everyone here in TV land. Hello, everyone there. Listen, you need to be thinking about the security stuff very seriously. And what you have to do is, one of the things you have to do is make sure that you have you want to protect the front gates of it, but you also want to make sure that you're not, your databases are your FileMaker files. Once again, we're not talking about ransomware conversations all about your email and everything else. Like you turn on your computer and you can't even get to a browser. It says you have to pay me before you get anything, right? And some of that stuff, this stuff is so pervasive and so bad that you have to literally throw the computer away because it's reprogrammed the EEPROMs or the BIOS firmware on the computer, right? So that's how dangerous some of this stuff is. And so, because even if you reformat the drive and put a new drive in it, it's not good enough because they've put an agent on the chip in the computer. So it's frankly very dangerous stuff. Very dangerous stuff. And so the idea is how to protect yourself on that. So what we're going to do for sure is they've got a 2-day event coming up to talk about this stuff. And it's making sure that you have good backups. So, for example, if you were backing up the Dropbox, with your FileMaker server, and then you get ransomware and attacked, you could zap all, throw everything away, basically reformat or get new computers, whatever you need to do. And you go to Dropbox and you tell them to restore from a certain date and they unwind everything, right? Because the bad guys, the first thing they do is they encrypt your backups. They scramble your backups and then they scramble your live files. They're actually really smart. They're putting millions and millions and millions of dollars into these attacks, researching you to figure out what you're doing and what's going on. So at any rate, we're going to be bringing them in for at least 2 days. And to try to give everyone some guidance on that. That also gets back to the product from 360works. 360works has a product where they are doing backups and they're setting when you back up to like S3, it's like a product for your FileMaker server. And I plan on pretty much endorsing this, but what ends up happening is that they're going to you're offloading it to S3 and then you're setting S3 in such a way that you cannot, or no one, not even yourself, can erase the backups for like 30 days. So what happens if they ransomware your stuff, your backups are still protected, you can redo a restoration. It's a pain in the ass, it's a giant stress sandwich. It sucks bad, but you haven't really lost your right? Because if you totally lost all your databases, some business could be totally out of business, right? I mean, most people who are totally dependent on FileMaker, it's not a good conversation. It's a bad conversation. So, Calvin, thoughts on that a little bit?
Yeah, you definitely want to, if your backups are hosed, that's really bad news. And so taking this seriously is really important, and making sure you don't lose that.
So that's a buzz. You don't even have to buzz that one in. If you want to, that's fine. But I already pre-buzzed for everyone. I already told them I want them to be on our live stream. And I said, realistically, it's at least 3 days of conversations. One about kind of understanding the dynamics of what's going on. 2, options for protection, and then some specific endorsements that they might have. So we'll see how that goes. But they're going to practice this presentation a couple times before they bring it to us specifically. So I don't have too much more. I know it's a little short today. I'm happy to kind of wind things down. Margaret, do we have any questions?
I don't see any questions. Let me see. There's nothing on YouTube or Twitch. Someone said the chopper is prepped to take RC to Starbucks for a post-broadcast espresso.
Yeah, we don't use the helicopter for anything. We don't use the helicopter or anything for anything that trivial. This is the actually, I'm in the pilot ready room right now, and it's apparently we're being activated, so we're going to have to launch the aircraft. So I'm not aware of the launch schedule, so they're going to launch the helicopter here shortly. So anyway, that's not my helicopter. It would be nice if it was my helicopter, not my helicopter. So anyway, Tomorrow is about, and Calvin, if you want to show up a little bit, we get Nick to show up a little bit. It's we're going to be talking about when to basically eject and bail on your FileMaker solution, and when to do a more serious rebuild of it, right? Not just kind of patching it, keeping it going, but a rebuild. And once again, the goal is not to demoralize anyone or anything. I suspect most of you have already made these evaluations, but once again, it's a topic for a live stream. I want some of you who have gone through this evaluation to comment tomorrow and to be part of the conversation, right? If I could bring in Larry, I would do that. I don't know if we can do that with Discord, Margaret. If you want to think about finding Larry the Marine, he's been looking at that. I'm not sure if this topic is from Ed. It was Ed's idea. Ed, right, Margaret? Ed's topic for tomorrow?
Yes, it was correct. Yeah.
If we can get Ed in there, if he wants to have a headset, of course, if you're in a location where you're cleaning toilets and doing dishes, then that won't work so good. You have to be kind of generally quiet. But yeah, if you want to get those people involved tomorrow, that would be great. And once again, I think Nick will be back on that. And I think Nick brings some good conversations and thoughts about that. So anyway. And there goes a fighter jet taking off somewhere. So, all right. Well, all right. Other questions, Calvin? Anyone else have any questions?
I don't see anything on Twitch or YouTube. A lot of buzzes for the topics that you suggested.
Good. Well, we have a big part of Paws on Air, everyone. I highly recommend you think about it next year, is for me, my job is to bring content to you because you're not going to be there. I would love to broadcast from Paws on Air. I don't know if that would ever happen. So that's it for today. I appreciate it, Margaret. If you could roll the credits, we appreciate everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Calvin.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Richard.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.